perspective on new media and democracy. Okay, so media plays a central role in contemporary society. Not only does it provide us with the information we need, but importantly, it shapes who we are and what we design. This mediatization of everyday life is further extended by new media. While the old media shaped the general context of our lives, the new media individualizes this context to suit our particular circumstances and interests. Furthermore, new media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram give us the impression that we control the media environment within which we operate. Okay, so the central role of media in contemporary society. Okay, let's start with the traditional media. Okay, so when we say traditional media, we are referring to newspapers, television, and radio. And they are historically been the primary sources of news and information. They shape public discourse by deciding which stories to highlight and how to present them. Now, in the new media, the platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram have revolutionized how we access information. News is now instant, and what more, it is interactive and often personalized to our interests. So, in shaping identity and desire, so yung cultural influence nito, media doesn't just inform us, it also influences our values, beliefs, and desires. Through advertising, entertainment, and news, media shapes societal norms and individual aspirations. The portrayal of different groups in media affects how we see ourselves and others. Positive representation can empower communities, while negative stereotypes can perpetuate discrimination. Um, okay, mediatization of everyday life. So traditional media's influence in general context, traditional media provided a shared context for society. Everyone watched the same news programs or read the same newspapers, creating a common ground for public discussion. Editors and producers acted as gatekeepers, deciding which information was important and how it should be framed. In the new media's individualization, so nagkaroon tayo ng personalized content. New media platforms use algorithms to tailor content to individual users. This means we see news, advertisements, and posts that align with our interests and behaviors. Unlike traditional media, new media gives users more control over what they consume. We can choose who to follow, what to like, and what to share, creating a personalized media environment. So there is a perceived autonomy, you know. The ability to customize our media feeds gives us the impression that we are in control of our media environment. We can filter out unwanted content and focus on what interests us. However, this can lead to echo chambers where we are only exposed to information that reinforces our existing beliefs, potentially limiting our understanding of broader societal issues. And there is also this algorithmic influence. So there are hidden algorithms. While we feel in control, much of what we see is determined by algorithms designed to maximize engagement. These algorithms can influence our behavior and preferences in subtle ways. Um, when it comes to data privacy, the data we generate through our interactions is used to further refine the content we see, raising concerns about privacy and the manipulation of information. So, the media, we can say that the media, both old and new, plays a crucial role in shaping our society and individual identities. While new media offers greater personalization and a sense of control, it also presents challenges such as echo chambers and algorithmic manipulation. It's important for us to critically engage with media, be aware of its influence, and strive for a balanced consumption of information from diverse sources. Okay, so the assassination of Ninoy Aquino in 1983, you know, indeed highlighted the critical role of access to information in shaping public awareness and political movements. During this period, despite the absence of new media, alternative sources of information played a significant role. So, what are these alternative sources of information? In 1983, so there is this underground press. Um, uh, Mr. and Mrs. Okay, so Mr. and Miss, sorry. This publication was part of the underground press that provided alternative viewpoints and information not covered by the state-controlled media. So it played a crucial role in informing the public about political issues and mobilizing opposition against the Marcos regime. Next is the radio station. Okay, so we have the Radio Veritas. This Catholic Church runs radio station was instrumental in broadcasting news and informations that the government tried to suppress. It became a vital source of truthful reporting during critical moments such as the People Power Revolution. And there is this also the street theater. No? Street theater and other forms of performance art were used to communicate political messages and raise awareness among the masses. These performances were accessible and engaging, making them effective tools for political education and mobilization. So we also have the informal sources like rumors, gossips, and jokes. So in the absence of reliable media, people relied on informal networks to share information. While these sources were often episodic, irregular, and unreliable, they played a significant role in spreading awareness and fostering a sense of community resistance. So, characteristics of these sources, yung episodic and irregular. These sources were not consistently available and often depended on circumstances and the individuals involved. So they are unreliable, of course. The information from these sources could be inaccurate or biased, making it challenging to discern the truth. It is also non-cumulative. Unlike formal media, these sources did not build a continuous narrative, making it harder to piece together a comprehensive understanding of events. So, despite their limitations, these alternative sources of information were crucial in breaking the government's monopoly on information. They empowered citizens to stay informed, fostered dissent, and ultimately contributed to the downfall of the Marcos regime. So, the events surrounding Ninoy Aquino's assassination underscore the importance of access to diverse and reliable sources of information. Even in the absence of modern digital media, alternative channels played a pivotal role in shaping public opinion and political actions. Okay, so the evolution of communication technology has significantly transformed how ordinary Filipinos express and mobilize their political opinions. So let's delve deeper into this. Okay, so first we have the transformation of political communication and mobilization. Number one, traditional communication networks. So it has limited reach. Historically, political opinions were shared within small close-knit networks of family, friends, and associates. This limited the spread and impact of political ideas. And also, we have the face-to-face interaction. So here, communication relied heavily on face-to-face interactions, making it difficult to reach a broader audience quickly. New dimensions with mobile and internet technology, expanded reach. Mobile phones and the internet have dramatically expanded the reach of political communication. Social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and messaging apps allow individuals to share their opinions with a much larger audience. It became an instant communication. Information can now be disseminated instantly, enabling rapid mobilization and coordination of activities. Um, we also have the smart mobs. Ano? So smart mobs, ito yung group of people who use mobile and internet technology to organize and coordinate collective actions quickly and efficiently. During EDSA 2, ano, it's one of the most notable example of smart mobs in the Philippines. So text messaging played a crucial role in mobilizing large crowds to protest against President Joseph Estrada, leading to his eventual ouster. So there is an effective mobilization, the ability to, by effective mobilization, it is the ability to quickly gather a large number of people for a common cause, and has proven to be a powerful tool for initiating political change. Smart maps enable grassroots movements to gain momentum and visibility, often bypassing traditional media channels. So, while modern communication tools like texting, e-groups, YouTube, blogs, and social networking sites such as Facebook have greatly expanded the reach of personal views, their political consequences are still evolving and not purely defined. Here are some key points to consider. First one is the expanded reach and engagement. Wider audience, of course. These platforms allow individuals to share their opinions with a global audience, increasing the visibility of diverse viewpoints. It also has interactive engagement. Unlike traditional media, these tools enable real-time interaction and engagement, fostering discussions and debates. It has the potential for mobilization. While these tools have potential to mobilize people for political causes, the actual impact on political change can vary. For example, social media campaigns can raise awareness but may not always translate into concrete political action. And there is this echo chambers. The personalization of content can lead to echo chambers where individuals are only exposed to information that reinforces their existing beliefs, potentially limiting broader political discourse. So there are change or access to information and political change. So necessary but not sufficient. Yung informed citizenry na tinatawag natin. So access to a wide range of information is crucial for an informed citizenry, which is a cornerstone of a healthy democracy. However, access alone is not enough. Citizens must also critically evaluate the information they receive and be willing to engage in meaningful dialogue and action. Okay, so role of media and literacy, education and awareness. Promoting media literacy is essential to help individuals navigate the vast amount of information available and discern credible sources from misinformation. Media literacy empowers citizens to make informed decisions and participate more effectively in the political process. Okay, so the advent of mobile phones and the internet has significantly changed the media landscape in the Philippines and beyond. So let's explore this further. So there is the shift from traditional to new media. So by traditional media, regarding information and entertainment, okay, so historically, traditional media such as TV, radio, and newspapers were the primary sources of information and entertainment for Filipinos. There is this censorship and filtering. These media were subject to various forms of censorship and filtering, especially during periods of political unrest or authoritarian rule. This often limited access to controversial or dissenting views. In the new media, there are alternative sources like mobile phones and the internet, which introduce alternative sources of information that often bypass traditional censorship mechanisms. Social media platforms, blogs, and independent news websites provide diverse perspective and real-time updates. It is platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube allows users to create and share their own content, further diversifying the information landscape. Puyat yan, puyat. Matulog na. Sa ate tulog na. While formal censorship is less common today, it still exists in various forms, particularly in countries with restrictive media laws. Media ownership concentration can lead to biased reporting and self-censorship. Owners with the political or business interests may influence editorial decisions to align with their agendas. Advertisers can exert pressure on media outlets to avoid controversial topics that might alienate consumers or harm their brand image. Mainstream media often have editorial policies that prioritize certain types of content over others, effectively limiting the coverage of controversial views. So there is uh, impact of new media. No? So number one, it has increased access to information. New media provide access to a wider range of perspectives, including those that challenge mainstream narrative. Information can be shared and accessed in real time, making it harder for authorities to control the flow of information. With regards to misinformation and fake news, the lack of traditional gatekeeping can lead to the spread of misinformation and fake news, which can polarize public opinion and undermine trust in credible sources. And personalized content algorithms can create echo chambers where users are only exposed to information that reinforces their existing beliefs. The widespread adoption of mobile phones in the Philippines has indeed been remarkable. There are some key points to consider. Widespread mobile adoption in the Philippines, actually 85% access. It has high penetration rate. No? With about 85% of Filipinos owning or having easy access to cell phones, mobile technology has become an integral part of daily life. No? Out of a population of uh, 88 million, there are approximately 60 million cell phone subscribers, highlighting the extensive reach of mobile technology. No other technology has been embraced with such enthusiasm in the Philippines. Mobile phones have quickly become essential for communication, information, and entertainment. Okay, so communication and connectivity, there is an instant communication because mobile phones enable it, making it easier for people to stay connected with family, friends, and colleagues. With mobile internet access, Filipinos can engage with social media platforms, share reviews, and stay informed about current events. And it created political mobilization. The widespread use of mobile phones has empowered the grassroots movements, allowing for rapid organization and mobilization, as seen in events like EDSA 2. Mobile phones have turned ordinary citizens into reporters, enabling them to capture and share real-time events, thus contributing to greater transparency and accountability. Also, mobile phones have facilitated financial inclusion through mobile banking and payment services, providing access to financial services for those without traditional bank accounts. And the rise of mobile commerce has opened new opportunities, of course, for businesses and consumers, driving economic growth and innovation. Indeed, recent research into the influence of new media on political action in the Philippines is still developing. Uh, the work of Arian Aguirre in 2009 provides valuable insight into this relationship. Let's explore his findings. So this is Aguirre's research on social movements and media. Context of President Estrad's ouster. What is the role of new media? Aguirre examined how new media, particularly mobile phones and text messaging, played a crucial role in mobilizing the masses during the EDSA 2 revolution. The ability to quickly disseminate information and coordinate actions was instrumental in the successful ouster of President Joseph Estrada. There is an apparent failure to force President Arroyo's resignation. So Aguirre also looked at the attempt to use new media to force former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo to resign. Despite similar efforts to mobilize through new media, these attempts did not achieve the same success as EDSA 2. What are the factors that at play? The study suggests that the effectiveness of new media and political mobilization can be influenced by various factors, including the political context, public sentiment, and the presence of other mobilizing structures. So there is a mixed results of new media in political action. The impact of new media on political action is not uniform and can vary depending on the specific circumstances and context. According to him, while it can facilitate rapid mobilization and communication, it is not always sufficient to bring about political change on its own. According to him, new media often works best when complemented by other forms of engagement and activism, such as grassroots organizing and traditional media coverage. Okay, so there are ongoing studies. Um, Research into the influence of new media on political action is still in its early stages. As more studies are conducted, we will gain a better understanding of the conditions under which new media can effectively contribute to political change. So we can say that the relationship between new media and political action is complex and multifaceted. While new media has the potential to facilitate political mobilization, its impact is influenced by a range of factors and should be understood within a broader context. Okay, so that's a crucial point made by Aguirre. The effectiveness of new media and political activism is heavily influenced by the broader structural forces of play. Let's break this down further. No? So here are the key arguments from Aguirre. So, number one is structural forces and political change. With regards to Estrada's ouster, Aguirre argues that a confluence of structural forces favored the ouster of President Joseph Estrada. These forces included widespread public dissatisfaction, strong opposition from political elites, and significant media coverage. New media played a facilitating role, but the underlying structural conditions were ripe for change. With regards to Arroyo's case, in contrast, the same structural forces were not present during the attempts to force President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo to resign. Despite similar efforts to mobilize through new media, the absence of favorable structural conditions meant that these efforts were insufficient to achieve the desired political change. New media activism, while powerful in facilitating communication and mobilization, is not sufficient on its own to bring about fundamental political change. It needs to be supported by a broader set of favorable conditions, including public sentiments, political alliances, and institutional support. Um, Successful political change typically requires a confluence of factors, including economic conditions, social movements, and political opportunities. New media can amplify these factors but cannot replace them. So there is a broader implication underlying the role of new media. You know? New media should be seen as facilitator of political action rather than a primary driver. It can enhance the reach and speed of communication, but relies on existing structural forces to achieve significant impact. Activists and political movements should use new media as a complementary tool alongside traditional methods of organizing and advocacy. To understand and achieve political change, it is essential to consider the broader structural conditions. This includes analyzing economic, social, and political factors that influence the likelihood of successful activism. Effective political mobilization requires strategic planning that takes into account the strengths and limitations of new media, as well as the broader context in which it operates. Okay, next is cyber campaigning. So cyber campaigning in the Philippines is still in its early stages and has yet to play a transformative role. Here are some key points to consider. Current state, early stages, cyber campaigning, which involves using information and communication technologies for political campaigns, is still emerging in the Philippines. While there are innovative uses of new media, its overall impact on transforming political campaigns and governance is still limited. There is a need for political maturity. No? For cyber campaigning to be truly effective, there needs to be an improvement in the political maturity of both politicians and the electorate. This includes a better understanding of digital tools and commitment to ethical campaigning practices. Uh, Educating voters about the importance of critically evaluating information and engaging in the political process is crucial for meaningful reforms. Yeah. Okay, so here are the potential benefits of ICTs in campaigning. So the number one there is efficiency and affordability. It is cost effective. ICTs can make campaigns more affordable by reducing the need for expensive traditional media advertising. And there is also this efficient communication. Because digital tools allow for more efficient communication with voters, enabling campaign to reach a wider audience quickly and effectively. Okay. Social media, platforms, and other digital tools enable interactive engagement with voters, fostering a two-way communication channel. It can facilitate grassroots-oriented campaigns by empowering local communities to organize and participate in the political process. So there are future prospects. One prospect is the new brand of election campaigning. May mga innovative approaches tayo. The use of ICTs in campaigning is just the first step toward creating a new brand of election campaigning in the Philippines. This new approach has potential to be more inclusive, transparent, and responsive to the needs of the electorate. Ideally, the adoption of ICTs in campaigns will translate to better governance between elections as politicians become more accountable and responsive to their constituents.